My name is Brendan Watson. For this ECON Live project, I will be using a few key concepts I have learned from class to resolve a dilemma that afflicts many overtly nerdy engineering majors every day. Should I study for classes or play video games? For schedule-challenged people like me, this is a constant struggle, but perhaps, if I think like an economist, I can balance my time more effectively. The first and most important step to thinking like an economist is to establish your opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of an object is essentially measured by what you're willing to give up to gain that object, be it money, time, or anything really. In my specific dilemma, my opportunity cost seems rather simple. If on a specific day I choose to spend time studying, I give up time that I could have spent playing video games, and vice versa. But hypothetically, the opportunity cost could be endless. I paid for my classes through books and course equipment, and underutilizing them by procrastinating would be a cost too. But economists like to keep things simple, so these extraneous costs are filtered out thanks to another economic concept, the fact that economists make decisions within the margin. In the most basic terms, this means that the costs that I have already incurred proceeding to being able to study or play video games are non-relevant to my value system of today. For economists, only the aforementioned two costs factor into my decision of how to spend my time. But even if I'm aware of what I'm giving up when I act, I can't yet make an educated decision on how much time I can give up between one or the other. To allocate this time, I can use a production possibilities frontier. The frontier is a graph displaying the various outputs that I can produce given a certain resource. In this case, the resource to give being time. Let's get more specific. If on a certain day in the quarter I put 12 hours of the day aside to either study or play video games, then the PPF can be used to highlight how I can and should allocate that time. The frontier itself is the actual curve on the graph. Any point on this curve represents the maximum amount of time I can allocate to either studying or playing video games. A point found inside the frontier represents me underutilizing my time resource. This would be time that I spent doing neither activity. Maybe I just stared blankly at a window for a while wondering where my life went wrong, or maybe I made a grilled cheese sandwich. Any point outside the frontier would be impossible for me to meet given the 12 hours I have dedicated to my activities. You'll notice that the end of the curve, the studying output, becomes flatter as I increase time spent. This is because the more time I allocate to studying, the harder it becomes to concentrate on studying, meaning I will get less use out of studying for that long without playing video games. On the opposite end, though, it is easy for me to spend an entire 12-hour period playing video games because there is something horribly wrong with my sense of urgency. But something results from the either end of the PPF that skews our value system even further: the externalities that come from either activity. Externalities are the impacts that a firm or individual place on a bystander by producing its product. In this case, both parties are represented by myself. As far as negative externalities go, studying for too long can strain my brain and lead to large amounts of stress, which weigh negatively on my body. Likewise, playing video games for too long can lead to a sense of equally stressful impending dread that comes from not studying for an upcoming test. The externalities in these cases are negative, but thankfully, they can be regulated by limiting the amount of time I give to either activity. Going back to the PPF, it is clear that the best way to limit these externalities from affecting me and maximizing productivity is to make my output somewhere near the middle of the frontier curve. And with that, I have figured out how I'm going to spend time preparing for my econ final tomorrow. Doing some completely non-specific studying. And I couldn't have done it without thinking like an economist. Now all I have to do is follow my own advice.